Hello, it's Rob. Today's February 5th, 2020. I'm here at the City Fam offices, and this is my weekly vlog. Trying to stay consistent here and continuing to do these on Wednesday afternoon. So I'm going to jump right into it. Last week I started the vlog talking about a letter that someone sent me, a question. I do get questions from people specifically regarding relationships and sex pretty regularly, and instead of answering them via email or Instagram or however they send it, I'm going to start answering them here to start my vlog off. So got a letter, an email from somebody last week, and it was a woman. She's 55 years older, in that age range. She alluded to the being that age, and she's a Christian woman, and she is in a physical relationship with her Christian boyfriend. And she was basically explaining to me that she was feeling like she needed to stop having sex. She was feeling convicted. She says, that they're in love with each other, but the man is waiting for God to tell. He said, basically that he's waiting for God to tell him when they should marry, and but they're very much in love with each other, and they're having sex and they're in a physical relationship. And she asked me, what should she do, and asked me for advice. So I told her I would respond to her on this vlog, and I want to go ahead and do that now. So the first thing I said to her was, so basically help me understand this. So this guy is so spiritual that he has to wait for God to tell him when to marry you, but he's not so spiritual that he will commit to waiting to have sex with you before marriage. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense to me, because I basically said I smell bullshit, because women have to understand that the last thing that a man wants to give to a woman is that security, that commitment, because at that point we are telling you, like, I'm devoted to you, I'm tying myself to you basically for the rest of my life, or that's the way it's supposed to be, but I'm also just shutting down options for other women. I'm not interested in dating other women. I'm not going to have sex with other women. I'm committed to you. So that is going to be the last thing that someone's going to want to give. So a guy that's basically saying we need to wait to have sex. I need to wait for God to tell me when to have the green light to marry you, that is, but it's okay to have sex in the meantime, smells like bullshit. So that is what I basically told her. She actually responded to me and said that since receiving my email, she went ahead and put some boundaries in place. She had a talk with him and set it up so that they won't be getting physical anymore. They won't be sleeping in the same bed if they travel. She gave me all their boundaries, and they were very smart boundaries. And that is exactly what I would have told her, because she actually asked me for advice on how do we stop once we started. And I'll be honest, it's hard. It's hard to stop once you start, because at this point you're like, well, we've already done it now, right? So, but it's really, you have to think about it like this. You have to think about it from a selfish standpoint, because it's very easy to drift into a relationship with the wrong person when you're having sex. My last girlfriend, it's been a while, 8 years ago, we were having sex, and it was a terrible relationship. It was a good sex. We had good sex, but it was a terrible relationship. We'd break up like every other week, but then we'd get back together. We'd have sex, and everything would be okay for a month or whatever, and then we'd break up again. And this went on for 2 years until I finally said, okay, we're not going to have sex anymore. And that's when the clouds parted, because I was able to see clearly and evaluate if there was anything there or not. And then we ended up, like I said, breaking up. And now I look back on it and I'm like, dodge that bullet. Because I could have ended up with that girl, because we could have very easily drifted into marriage, which is what happens to people all the time. So, that's how you have to look at it, even if you've already made that mistake by sleeping with the person. It's not about, it's more about you than anything. It's to help you gain clarity. Again, no one's against sex. The moment that you're sure, marry the person, then have all the sex. That's great. That's what, my goal is. But you have to put very strong boundaries in place, because once you've already crossed that line, it just becomes very easy to cross that line again. Actually, wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it now. I had a friend send me an email today, and they basically told me that they were having, they had been harboring resentment towards me, and anger or whatever, because of my close call on New Year's Eve, and how I almost threw it all away for something that didn't mean anything, and how could I do that, and whatever else. And I haven't even actually responded to them yet, but I guess I'll go ahead and tell you what I would say now, or what I will say to them now is basically like, when you've been down that road, when you've had a lot of casual sex like I have, it's like muscle memory. It just is easy to go back to that place, and all it takes is you to be off your guard a little bit, which is what happened to me on New Year's Eve because I was drinking, and I automatically go back to that thought pattern, and it becomes very easy to fall back into that. So, what I would also say to this person is, like, I see people, okay, I see married pastors of churches that are sleeping with women in their congregation. So they're married, they're already having sex, and they're a pastor, and they're having sex with women in their churches. It happens all the time. You hear about it. I'm a single guy that used to be in nightclubs, used to be in the club scene, not that long ago. Had a lot of casual sex, not a pastor, not having any sex. And I'm putting myself in positions where everyone around me is not trying to walk the same line as me. Most of those people are having sex at the places that I tend to go, because I feel like that is where I'm called to go to help people. So can you imagine the challenge and the difference? This is a pastor that's married, that's having sex with women in his church, and I'm on the completely other side. I'm single. I'm from the bar scene. I'm hanging out with people that don't have that standard, and I'm trying to avoid it the best I can. And for the most part, I've done a pretty good job. 2 4-year clips in a row of basically, zero sex while hanging out in bars almost every weekend, or, at least a good number of those weekends. So I'm not perfect, I'm trying to be, but I'm not perfect. And, I think it would be unrealistic to expect somebody to be perfect, especially when they have those challenges. But at the same time, I'm responsible for my actions. Like, I have no one to blame but myself. It's no one else's fault. It's not my circumstances. I chose to do those things in my past, to have casual sex, and I choose to put myself in positions that is dangerous on some levels, because that is where I feel like I'm called to do. So I'm not blaming anybody for it, but I do want to help present perspective, because I think it's easy to not appreciate how challenging it is, at times, because it's not easy, and I didn't expect it to be this long. I didn't expect to be single, and not having sex this long. When I started down this journey, I thought it was going to be like a couple weeks or a month or whatever. It turned into 6 years. When I first became a believer, it was 6 years straight. When I rededicated back in 2011, that was 9 years ago, or 8.5 at least. And I didn't expect it to be this long. Some great things have happened in my life. I mean, I'm getting ready to go on tour, wrote a book, started a nonprofit. I did some really amazing things, made my mom proud, but it wasn't easy, and I didn't expect it to be this long. And sometimes, it's just easy to get a case of the fuckets, and that's exactly what happened to me on New Year's Eve. So that's what I would say to that person. And I would just ask for grace and mercy and say, look, I'm going to continue to do better. I'm going to continue to work on myself and improve in every way possible, which is what I've been trying to do, So that's what I would say. But again, back to that, personal responsibility, I guess, is I went out to lunch last weekend with a couple friends, and it was 2 of them, and they were both actually on antidepressant medication, and one of them I think was on multiple medications, and one of them was saying that they didn't know their purpose, and they were kind of commiserating how they didn't know their purpose, and they work in a job that they're not really all that happy about, kind of not a real career type job. And I thought to myself, and I'm like, why? They have this thing right in front of them. They have this community that I and so many other people around me have sacrificed to build, the supportive community of CityFam that was really designed for people that want to become the best version of themselves. They're like, okay, they're maybe coming out of some bad behavior that used to prevent them, that used to cause them not to get to where they wanted to go in life, or maybe cause regret. As I like to say, fun without regret is what we promote at CityFam. But maybe they're coming out of some of that behavior, and they're like, okay, I really want to hit my full potential. I really want to figure out what I'm here for, discover my purpose, and I want to surround myself with a group of people that are gonna help me get there. And I really want to have as much fun as possible while not setting myself back in the process. So how can I do that? Well, hello, that's what City Fam was created for. And I'm like, you have to attend the events though. You know, you have to come out. You have to surround yourself with that supportive community. You have to show up at the volunteer events, and you have to help that other person when they need help so that they can help you when you need help. And you know, you have to attend the workshops about Stop Dreaming and to Start Creating that are designed to help you figure out why in the hell you're here. But people don't do it. And then they get on antidepressant medications, and they complain about the fact that they don't know their purpose. And I'm like, that's why I love this saying, nobody cares, work harder. It's like, you can bitch and complain, but at the end of the day, you have to take responsibility. You know, nobody cares. Just work harder, get up earlier, sleep less, you know, plug in, sacrifice, show up. I mean, again, I made a video not long ago about it, but I have friends that are struggling with addictions or drunks or they're drug addicts, but they don't volunteer, they don't work out, they don't go to church, they don't do all the necessary steps. And I'm like, look, you have to do your part, you know, or you just can't say addiction is a disease, you know, not that I don't buy that. I believe, yes, some people are more prone to it than others. I believe that I'm very prone to it. I have a very addictive personality, but I have to do all the steps. I have to do all the work. I have to go to church every weekend, every Sunday. I have to volunteer. I have to get up early. I have to work out. I have to do all the things, or I could very easily go back to my bad behavior. So, you know, I don't know how that tied into what I was saying before, but again, it's personal responsibility. It's taking responsibility for your own actions and utilizing this thing that's in front of you, namely City Fam. It doesn't have to be City Fam. Could be anything. Could be any other healthy community that you find. But any healthy community is going to require probably your involvement, like you have to show up, and your participation, you know, like getting involved in the things that they're doing. And it's frustrating for me to see people that I care about that are struggling, you know, that are on antidepressants and, you know, anti-anxiety medicine, and they don't know their purpose, but they refuse to come plug in to the events that, you know, a group of amazing volunteers are giving their lives to put on because they want to help some people. They're just sticking their hand out and they're just saying, just take it, just grab my hand. It's that easy. That's all you have to do is grab it and we'll help you. But people don't do it. And then they sit there and they complain and they talk about how they're so depressed and how they don't know their purpose. I'm like, but at the end of the day, I came to the conclusion that a lot of those people really just aren't committed to living that way, you know, walking that narrow path. Because when you're committed to walking that narrow path, like I am, even though I'm not perfect, I'm committed to it. I need City Fam, I need something like it, you know. Some people do it, they get sober, you know, some people do it through recovery groups, some people do it through the church, those are fine too. The problem I think with those is, what are you doing for your social life? Because a lot of times those things don't really have a lot of fun things going on. I mean, the values are great, but you know, you're sitting around bored a lot. So for me, City Fam scratched that itch, but it was the reason that it works, or the reason that it's worked so well for me, or, you know, I've seen positive results from it, is because I was committed to walking that path. So when I see people that don't plug in or don't take advantage of it, a lot of times it's just because they're not committed. They're okay with having fun with regret, but then they get the regret, you know, which is maybe the feelings of depression or the fact that they never figure out their purpose because they're doing shit that's blocking God from telling them what they're here for. So I don't know if that makes sense, but the people that get the most out of it, to me, seem to be the people that are the most committed to really reaching their full potential, not going back to certain behaviors. Yeah, anyway, all right, that's it. I'm gonna change the subject. So what else? Want to talk about, this weekend, I'm gonna be speaking at Central Christian in Parkville area, I think, White Marsh. Saturday and Sunday, they're doing a series on relationships, and Pastor Larry Kirk asked me to come in and talk about sex and waiting, and so that'll be fun. I'm gonna definitely try to do some video. So if you're in the area actually and you want to come, I think it's Saturday, it's 6 o'clock I think, and Sunday I think it's 9:30 and 11, so that's where I'll be. Looking forward to that. This is my first time that I think I'll speak in front of a congregation. So that's exciting. I'm getting ready to launch my book funnel, which I've been spending a lot of time on. Had some coaches help me put together a funnel where I'm going to basically be giving away a copy of my book. I'm going to give away my audiobook, my ebook, my study guide, my videos, this Ask Rob compilation, all for free. People just have to pay $7 for shipping and handling. So that's pretty exciting, because that means I'm going to actually start running ads on social media toward people that I think would like to read my book, which is going to expose me to new audiences. And I'm actually going to do a membership site where I'm going to give people a chance to join a private Facebook group where they're going to learn how to maximize their time off. By time off, I mean the time that they're not having sex, or, you know, we could go down that path, but I don't want to go down it. But basically, their time off, they're going to learn how to make the most of that time, like I did, and move the needle forward. Not only figure out why you're here, but then learn how to master your calendars, do your morning routine, build a vision board, do all of the things that I was taught by coaches so that you can take the time off and really become the best version of yourself. So I'm excited about that. That's going to probably launch maybe as soon as Friday. Yesterday, actually, I don't have this on my list, but I just thought of it, is I was on the biggest podcast I've ever been on. It was actually, I think it's called the Mountaintop. It's called the Mountaintop, gosh, I can't remember the name. But anyway, it's the 22nd biggest podcast in the country on love and relationships, with a guy named Scott McKay. And was able to go on there and talk about the, I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry, Scott, if you're watching this. But anyway, I was able to go on there and talk about the book and talk about the tour and some other things. So that was exciting. You know, God continues to open up doors for me. So, I actually am thinking about launching a podcast myself. It's something I've been kicking around for a while, actually probably a couple of years, and I'm really starting to get closer to, I think, pulling the trigger on it. And I'm going to call it Kowalski analysis, which I think is kind of funny, because I don't know if you've seen Madagascar, but people say Kowalski analysis. So I'm gonna do that, and really the idea is going to be to open up doors for me to talk to people that are in positions of influence, people that are smarter than me, people that my audience or people in CityFam would want to hear from and learn from. You know, it definitely, podcast is a way to get your foot in the door with people like that. And obviously, the more people that listen to the podcast or view the video, the more people will be exposed to CityFam and my message, and hopefully it's just going to fuel everything and make it go faster. So looking forward to getting that together. The tour's coming up in less than 2 weeks. Wait, today's the 5th. So actually 2 weeks from today, we leave for the UK. We leave for London on the 19th of February. I'm going to be over there for 3 months. So from February 19th to May 12th, I'm going to be traveling around the UK, doing a book tour, starting small groups. The name of the tour is called The Truth About Sex. We have events already lined up in Manchester, Oxford, Nottingham, Birmingham, Edinburgh. I learned I was pronouncing that wrong. Edinburgh, and there may be another town there. And I think Liverpool actually just came through. We actually just got requests from Italy and Spain and Germany. Someone from Germany reached out. So yeah. It's exciting. I've never even been to those parts of the world before, so to have the opportunity to go over there and talk about a subject that I'm very passionate about is definitely exciting to me. We're going to be filming a lot. We're going to be actually shooting a documentary called The Truth About Loneliness from the road, which is going to be exciting. So I'm hoping that really captures the message that I've been talking about and pushing for the last several years about community being the answer to this big problem, this loneliness problem. So that's exciting. We got the documentary filmmakers already lined up, but actually we are looking for volunteers to help us on the tour. So if you are in any of those areas and you would like to come out to the event and help out, we're looking for people to work the merch tables. We're looking for people to, you know, video, even with like their iPhones, or we have various positions that we're looking for help with. So if you're in those areas and you'd like to potentially help out, or if you want to go ahead and pay your own way to come over, there's a possibility that we could even, you know, have you join us for a leg of the tour. I actually have to talk to the tour manager about that. I'm not sure. But if you're interested, go ahead and send an email to bookings@robbkowalski.com, and somebody will get back to you and let you know if we can make that happen. So what else? I just ordered 250 books from Amazon that are going to be delivered to the UK any day. We actually also are looking for connections in the UK, like media specifically, big, maybe even podcasts or potentially even bloggers, people that would want to help tell the world about this tour and what we're doing to get the word out, because ultimately we have to let people know that we're coming, and the only other way to let people know without running ads on, let's say, social media or even in print, which would be very expensive, is to get the media involved. So we actually have a press release that's going out in a few days, and just trying to do as many podcasts as I can to get the word out. And then we will be spending some money on those book funnels, on that book funnel. And the last page of that book funnel is going to tell people about the tour. So I'm really hoping that things are going to look a lot different for me, and potentially the book and even City Fam in the next few months, because as all these things that we spent a lot of time on really start to come together, I think we're going to see some big changes in the organization. So I'm excited, and I couldn't be more ready, because I've been at this for a long time, and I'm 47 years old, and I'm like, at some point I'm going to be too old to do this. So I'm hoping that God opens the door and things start to move, which it looks like that's really what's happening. Actually, it feels like mountains are moving now. Just some big things are shifting, and it's exciting just to kind of watch. But anyway, we have a Renegade this Friday at Dave & Buster's in White Marsh. So if you're in the Baltimore area, you can come out to that. We're actually going to be there from 7 to 10. We have food and drink specials. We have, I think, $5 unlimited play game cards for all of our members. We actually have a service event. We're going to be fixing up a Baltimore City elementary school on February 22nd. Saturday, February 22nd. You can find information about that on the City Fam website. You can register. It's going to be awesome. We've done a school in the past where we actually went in and did a makeover for an elementary school in Lansdowne, or I think it was Landover. Oh no, it was Lansdowne. Lakeland is what it was. And that was a really great service event. All of our volunteers really enjoyed themselves. But this will be another one of those. So sign up for that February 22nd. Come out, volunteer, meet some great people, and do something good for your community. I got the Genuine show at the Horseshoe Casino on June 20th, that I am looking for an opener for. So if you are a musician or a singer, or if you know someone that would be a good fit for Genuine, then reach out to me, as I am looking for an opener. I think we had Kenny Sway for our Drew Hill event a couple months ago, and that was a really nice opener, really good fit. So if you're out there, if you are a singer, or if you know someone that would be a good fit, reach out to me, connect me with them. I'd love to talk to that person. And I think that's really about it. I'm actually still looking for a media manager. So if you're someone that creates great content for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, any or all of those platforms, reach out to me. I'm looking for some help in those areas. I'm also getting ready to order the camouflage hoodies. Again, I actually ordered a batch for some leaders and for some friends in the organization that I just paid for, but now the response was so, the people liked the hoodies so much, people started reaching out to me, asking me how they could get one, so now I'm letting people order them. So if you want a camouflage hoodie with the Tree of Life logo on the front, City Fam underneath, you can go ahead and send $35 via PayPal using the email address admin@cityfam.com. and include, if you want me to ship it, if you're going to come by the office and pick it up, you don't have to worry about including any shipping. But if you want me to ship it, or us to ship it, should I say, include $5 for shipping and handling. If you're international, include $10. So it would be $40 or $45. Don't forget to put your size in there. They're unisex hoodies. So I think that's it. Yep. Talk to you guys next week. See ya.